In order to prepare well for the test on fractions and decimals, study the pictures at the first half of this video carefully. You can pause the video by hitting the spacebar on your keyboard. After you have read the pages carefully and you understand the material, you can try the sample test. The last two pictures in the first half of the video show you what the test looks like. You can try the test on your own, and then you can follow along with the second half of the video to see how well you did. Did you score 100%? If not, try the questions that you got wrong until you feel prepared for the test. All the best. Okay, let's try this old sample test. The questions will be similar to the ones on the test. 2/3 of 24. Remember, start with the denominator. I need 3 groups of 24. I'm going to goose gander this to make it quicker. What times 3 is 24? And what to do to the bottom, you do to the top. 3 times 8 is 24. Therefore, 2 times 8 is going to be our answer, and it's 16. 4/10 of 60. How many in each group? 10 times 6 is 60. Therefore, 4 times 6 is 24. 4/10 of 60 is 24, because 4/10 is almost half. 5/10 of 60 would be 30. Next one, 2/9 of 36. 36 into 9 groups. How many each? How many 9s in 36? Think of your times tables. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 2 times 4. The answer is 8. 5 is 1/4 of a set. How many are in the set? Well, if 5 is only 1/4, then we have to multiply. 4 times 5 is 20. In the set there are 20. 1/4 of 20 is 5. There are 25 kids in Mr. Sethlow's class. 2/5 of those students are girls. How many boys are there? Okay, let's figure this out with the girls first. 2/5 of 25. 5 times 5 is 25. Therefore, what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 10 of those 25 students are girls. Therefore, to figure out how many boys, we simply subtract. 25 minus the 10 girls means that this class has 15 boys. The next question. The pie shop sold 16 pies. 1/2 of them were apple. 1/4 of them were blueberry. How many were neither blueberry nor apple? Let's start with 16. Of the 16 pies, we know that half of them were apple. Well, 16 divided by 2 will give us half. We know that 8 of these pies are apple pies. That leaves 8 pies left. 1/4 of these pies were blueberry pies. We can figure out 1/4 of 16, and we know that that equals 4, because 4 goes into 16 4 times. So we have 8 apple pies so far, and we have 4 blueberry pies for a total of 12 pies. We have 16 pies in all, so 16 minus 12 tells us that 4 pies are neither blueberry nor apple. Rewrite each fraction as a decimal. 4/10. Well, it takes 10/10 to make 1. I don't have 10/10. I have 0 as a whole number, 0.4. The number on top of the fraction is always the same as the number behind the decimal. 67/10. 10 goes into 67 at least 6 times, and there's going to be 7/10 left over. 3/100. 100 over 100 equals 1. So if you look at 3/100, you realize that you've got 0 flats. It would take 100 100ths to make 1 flat. We don't even have a flat. With 3/100, we don't even have enough to make 1 rod.
So remember the order. We go from our flats. Our decimal separates our flats from our rods. We don't have any rods in 300ths, so we have to indicate that with a 0. But we do have 3 of these units, 300ths. So that is 300ths as a decimal and a fraction. 3 7/10. 3 7/10 means we have 3 of these flats. And remember that the decimal separates our flats from our rods. 7/10 means we have 7 rods. 3.7. Rewrite each decimal as a fraction. So now we're basically doing the opposite of what we were just doing. 8/10. 8/10 as a fraction. 4.9 as a decimal. 4 is our whole number. And 9/10. When there's one decimal, when there's one number behind the decimal, we're dealing with tenths. 800ths. 2 numbers behind the decimal are tenths and our hundredths. Flats, decimal. Rods, units. I don't have any flats. I don't have enough to make 1 rod, hence the 0, but I do have 8 of these units. So as a fraction, I have 8 hundredths. Again, hundredths, tenths, hundredths, therefore hundredths as a denominator. 36 hundredths, 0 flats of course, so I start with 36 over 100. 100 hundredths equals 1. I don't even have enough for 1. Therefore we have the 0. 36 hundredths. Match each improper fraction with the mixed number. Well, it's important that we look at the denominator, and I see lots of fourths here. Let's start with this one. 2 1/4. The 2 is made up of fourths. Remember that it takes 4 fourths just to equal 1. So if that equals 1, I need an additional 4 fourths to equal another 1. And I've got 1 more left over, for a total of 1, 2 1/4. Let's count the number of fourths here. We've got 4 fourths plus 4 fourths, that's 8 fourths, and the extra fourth means we've got 9 fourths. So we have a match here. Let's find this one. 1 1/4. I'm counting fourths. The 1 tells me that it equals 4 fourths because I'm counting fourths. Well, that's 4 fourths plus 1 additional one for a total of 5 fourths. Here's the mixed number, and there is its improper fraction match. Now, of course, we know what the answer is left over here because there's only one more pair left, but think about it. 7 fourths. It takes 4 fourths to equal 1. 7 take away 4, that means I've got 3 fourths left over, so now I know that 7 fourths and 1 3/4 are the same thing. We have our matches. Draw a picture to show 3 halves. Alright, we'll draw a circle. We divide that circle into 2 parts. Now we have 2 halves, and we'll make 1 more half. Kind of draw a backward C here, and we've got our 3 halves. 4 fifths. We are counting fifths. Therefore, we better make sure that we draw fifths. And we will shade 4 fifths. 1 fifth, 2 fifths, 3 fifths. We're going to shade 4 fifths. The next one's 5 fourths. 4 fifths and 5 fourths. Same numbers, but very different picture. We're counting fourths, and we have 5 fourths. So let's make one complete set of 4. So we make one complete set. Now we've got 4 fourths, and we draw 1 additional fourth. Now we have our 5 fourths. So if we look at this one, 13.6 plus 77.8, we're going to add our hundredths. 6 and 8 is 14. Then I put the decimal in right away. I tend to do that as I'm working. Now we add up our ones, 7 and 3 and 1, for a total of 11. So we carry. Now we add up our tens column, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 tens for an answer of 91.4. Let's try one subtraction. 3 take away 1.54. I need to regroup here. I can see that right away. And now I'm ready to subtract. Subtract the hundredths column. 10 minus 4 is 6 hundredths. Now we're going to subtract the tenths. 9 minus 5 is 4 tenths. I put the decimal in right away. Make sure it's nice and aligned. 2 minus 1. Compare using greater than, less than, or equal to. 2 tenths, 9 hundredths. 0 flats, that's the same. Here I see 2 rods, here I see no rods at all, so I know that this number is larger than this number. Remember, I can add other zeros here so you can see. 20 hundredths, 2 tenths, they mean the same thing. Looking at this one, 29.4, 29.38. You can probably see the answer right away. It's good to compare each place value in turn. 2, 2, 9 in the ones column, 9 in the ones column. I see 4 tenths, 4 rods, 3 tenths. Therefore we know that this one is greater. Oh, this is interesting. Comparing fractions and decimals. We're still dealing with tenths. We can change this one to 6 tenths. Now we're comparing apples to apples, so to speak, and we can see that 5 tenths is less than 6 tenths. What do we think here? Is 26.3 greater than or equal to 26.30? Well, you're probably thinking this one's got to be bigger because 30 is greater than 3. This is a trick question. They are equal. 2, 2, 6, 6, 3, 3. As there's a 0 here, there's also a phantom 0 there. 26.3 is the same as 26.30. It's all about place value. 801 and 17 hundredths. Next question is to arrange these numbers from least to greatest. The smallest is this one, so we'll put an A there. He's our smallest number. From 3 hundredths, 16 hundredths is our next largest. And then from 16 hundredths, we're going to 30 hundredths, or 3 tenths. This is our third biggest one. And then we go to our fourth biggest one, which is 40 hundredths, or 4 tenths. And our largest one is 61 hundredths. Keep in mind, 3 tenths is equal to 30 hundredths, just as 4 tenths is equal to 40 hundredths. Final question. Linda bought a binder for $4.19 and a set of markers for $3.78. What is her change from a $10 bill? This is a twofold problem. We have to answer the first part. We have to come up with the total of her expenses. So we add that up, and we add up our pennies column. We add up our dimes, 7, 8, 9 dimes. Decimal separates the dollars from the dimes, and we have $7.97. What is a change from a $10 bill? $10 bill, subtract $7.97. We set it up, 9, that becomes a 9, last one becomes a 10, and we're ready to subtract and determine our answer. Subtracting the pennies, 10 minus 7 is 3 pennies, 9 minus 9 is 0, decimal of course, and 9 minus 7 is 2. So Linda's change is $2.03. All the best on your test on fractions and decimals.